Watch this entire video and you will know with complete clarity exactly why some people build wealth almost effortlessly, while others work just as hard, sometimes harder, and stay stuck for their entire lives. Not because of luck, not because of intelligence, because of something running quietly in the background of their mind that almost nobody ever names out loud. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that thing is, and you're going to know which version of it you're running right now, whether you like the answer or not. Here's where we start, and it's gonna sound too simple to matter. It matters more than anything else in this video. In 2011, financial psychologist Brad Klontz and researcher Sonya Britt ran a study that quietly reshaped how we understand wealth. They surveyed 422 people on 72 different beliefs about money and used statistical analysis to find out which beliefs actually clustered together and which of those clusters predicted real financial outcomes. Not feelings, actual income, actual net worth. They called these clusters money scripts, unconscious beliefs about money, usually formed in childhood, that quietly drive financial behavior for the rest of your life. And the finding that should stop you cold is this: 3 of the 4 scripts they identified were significantly correlated with how much money people actually had.
Let's go through them, because you're almost certainly running one of these right now, and you've probably never had language for it before. The first is money avoidance. People with this script believe, somewhere underneath conscious thought, that money is bad, that rich people are greedy, that there's something virtuous about having less. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. This isn't a harmless philosophical position. Researchers found that money avoiders had measurably lower income and lower net worth than people without this belief. Not because they're lazy, because a part of their mind treats financial success as something to unconsciously resist. They undersave, they avoid looking at their own bank statements. Some avoid asking for raises they've clearly earned, because on some level, earning more feels like becoming a worse person.
The second is money worship. The belief that more money will fix your life. On the surface, this looks like the opposite of avoidance, and like it should predict wealth. It doesn't work that way. Klontz found this script associated with compulsive financial behaviors, overspending, workaholism, even gambling, driven by the belief that the next amount of money, always slightly more than you currently have, will finally be enough. The tragic mechanism here is that money worship keeps the goalpost permanently out of reach. There's substantial research showing wealth and happiness decouple past a certain point, but people running this script keep chasing the number anyway, because the belief was never really about the money. It was about believing something external could fix an internal problem. The third is money status, using money and possessions as a measure of self-worth and social position. This script drives visible spending on cars, appearances, status symbols, often at the direct expense of building actual wealth over time. Here's the mechanism worth sitting with. Genuine wealth is frequently invisible. It looks like a below-market car and a fully funded retirement account. Money status pulls in the opposite direction entirely. It optimizes for what wealth looks like to other people rather than what actually builds financial security over time. It's an expensive, ongoing performance funded directly out of the exact capital that could have been quietly compounding instead.
And the fourth script is the one researchers found working differently from all the others: money vigilance. This one correlated with better financial outcomes, not worse. Money vigilant people are watchful, careful, prone to saving, sometimes even a little anxious about financial security. And unlike the other 3 scripts, this anxiety in this specific case seems to function protectively. Klontz's research identified money vigilance as an actual financial health factor. People who monitor their money closely and feel a persistent, low-grade concern about their financial future consistently build more of it, which means the discomfort some people feel about money, the thing that looks from the outside like anxiety, isn't automatically a problem. In this specific pattern, it's frequently the exact mechanism protecting someone's financial future.
Now here's the twist, and it's the part that actually explains why merely knowing this information rarely changes anything on its own. These scripts don't form as adult decisions. They form in early childhood, absorbed directly from what you watched your family do and say about money, long before you had the ability to question any of it. If you grew up hearing that talking about money was rude, or that rich people are corrupt, or that your family's worth had nothing to do with what you owned, those beliefs didn't arrive as arguments you evaluated and accepted. They arrived as atmosphere. And beliefs absorbed as atmosphere, rather than chosen consciously, are remarkably difficult to simply decide your way out of. This is why telling someone to just think like a rich person almost never works. You're asking them to There's a second layer underneath money scripts that compounds all of this, and it's called locus of control. Research consistently finds that people with a strong internal locus of control, the belief that their own decisions meaningfully shape their outcomes, build significantly more wealth over time than people with an external locus of control, the belief that their financial situation mostly happens to them. This isn't a motivational platitude. It's a measurable psychological variable with a direct, demonstrated relationship to financial behavior. Here's the mechanism. If you believe your circumstances are largely outside your control, taking deliberate financial action, saving consistently, negotiating pay, investing patiently, feels close to pointless. Why optimize a system you don't believe you can influence? An internal locus of control produces the opposite pattern: consistent, patient, corrective behavior over years, precisely because the underlying belief is that the effort actually matters. So what do you actually do with all of this? The starting point isn't a 5-step productivity plan. It's identifying your own script honestly. Do you avoid checking your bank balance? That's avoidance. Do you feel like the next raise or windfall will finally solve everything, only to feel the exact same way after you get it? That's worship. Do you spend to be seen rather than to build? That's status. Are you the one quietly checking your accounts, mildly anxious, consistently saving? That's vigilance. And research suggests you're already doing something right. Once a script is named, specifically, it stops operating as invisible atmosphere and starts operating as information you can actually examine and, over time, deliberately edit. Here's what's genuinely worth sitting with as we close this out. Getting rich was never primarily a math problem, and it was never primarily a discipline problem either, though both matter. It's substantially a psychology problem, running on beliefs installed before you were old enough to evaluate them, operating quietly enough that most people go their entire financial lives without ever naming what's actually driving their decisions. You were promised at the start of this video that you would know exactly why some people build wealth and others don't. Here it is, in full. It's rarely about talent, and it's rarely only about luck. It's about which unconscious script is quietly steering the thousands of small financial decisions that, compounded over decades, become either wealth or its absence. Now that you can name yours, you're already standing somewhere most people never reach. If this changed how you think about your own relationship with money, hit like and subscribe. Every week, we dig into the psychology behind the things your mind does without asking your permission. And I want to know, which script did you recognize in yourself? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. See you in the next one.